Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Today our lecture is about wireless security, and this is chapter 18, which is from this book, Cryptography and Network Security. In this chapter we will start with a general overview of wireless security issues, and then we will discuss some new area of the mobile device security. We'll see the threats and countermeasures for the mobile devices used in different organizations. Then we will discuss IEEE 802.11i, which is the wireless LAN security standard. Okay, let's start with the wireless security concept. If we are going to discuss wireless security, we can consider it that it introduces the host more security problem as compared to the wired network. Why for the wireless network there are more problems with respect to security as compared to wired network? These are the some of the characteristics of the wireless network which make it more vulnerable to security risks and attacks as compared to the wired network. So first thing is channel. So wireless networks work on broadcast communication, and which is having a more danger of eavesdropping and jamming attack as compared to wired network. And also wireless networks are more vulnerable to different type of active attacks which exploit vulnerabilities in different communication protocols. Second is the mobility. As we know that wireless devices can move from one place to another. They are portable as compared to wire devices, because wire devices, when you are going to install it in the network, they will place or they will stay on the same place, but wireless devices remain mobile, and this mobility results in a number of risks which we will discuss later on in this chapter. Resources. Okay, that is also one of the characteristics with the mobile devices as compared to the wired devices. Like we have wireless devices like smartphone, tablets. They are having very limited memory and processing power. So because of this limited memory and processing power, there are many attacks which are far more easier to do on these devices, like DOS attack and different malware attacks. Then comes accessibility. As we know that there are some of the wireless devices like sensors and robots, they may be left unattended in an hostile environment. They are, like, exposed to the environment where nobody is guarding these devices or nobody is watching or controlling these devices, so which will increase their vulnerability to different type of physical attacks. Okay, this figure gives us the basic components that make the wireless network, and there are basically three main components which provide the point of attack in wireless network. What are these components? Endpoint or wireless client, over here. This wireless client can be a smartphone or a Wi-Fi enabled laptop or tablet, or a wireless sensor, or a Bluetooth device, or a robot which is connected to internet, or maybe your home devices like nowadays AC, microwave, fridge. So this is your endpoint or wireless client. Then we have wireless access points which provide a connection to the network or services. Example of access points can be like your Wi-Fi hotspots, GSM cell towers, or wireless access points to wired local or wide area networks. And then there is a transmission media. As we know that for wireless network, the transmission media is the radio waves for data transfer, and it is also a source of vulnerability. So anybody can listen to this communication, can intercept this communication, because if we are comparing it with the wired network, in order to eavesdrop on wired network, you have to tap that connection. But in order to eavesdrop on wireless network, you have a very easy access to wireless communication. You can easily sniff that communication or record that communication. Like you can use easily Wireshark is a tool that can help you to sniff the Wi-Fi network traffic easily. Okay, this slide has a lot of information. It gives us the security threats to wireless network information. So what are the possible security threats to wireless network? First is accidental association. It is possible that there is a company wireless LAN or wireless access point to WireLAN is in close proximity or in the same building or neighboring building, may create overlapping transmission ranges. Like there are two different companies wireless LAN, and they are so close to each other that they provide overlapping transmission ranges. So user from one company may be accidentally or unintentionally connect themselves to the wireless access point from the neighboring company network instead of their own. This type of security breach is unintentional, so we can say that it is accidental association. So it will not expose resources of one LAN to the accidental user unless he is having some malicious intent. On the other hand, like malicious association is intentional activity where a wireless device is configured to be appear as a legitimate access point. Like instead of some organization wireless access point, attacker bring his own wireless access point and install it over there in the close proximity of the company network which the attacker wants to breach, and this access point will be appear as legitimate access point to the network user. So the network user will try to connect to the company network through this attacker wireless access point, which enable the attacker to steal password from the legitimate users of the company, and then attacker can use these password to penetrate to the company wired network through legitimate wireless access point. Then ad hoc network. Ad hoc networks are peer-to-peer network where there is no wireless access point. When there is no wireless access point, so there is no any central point which control all the traffic, so it will have its own many security issues. Then non-traditional network, like we have a Bluetooth personal network where devices are connected like through Bluetooth devices or barcode reader or handheld personal digital assistant, that they also have a security risk in terms of both eavesdropping and spoofing, because these type of networks have their own security issues like ad hoc networks. Then there is identity theft or MAC spoofing. Like we have a IP spoofing attack, same is MAC spoofing attack, where attacker can eavesdrop on the network traffic and then find out the MAC addresses of computer with network privileges, and then use those MAC addresses on their own devices by the help of attack that is called MAC spoofing. Like you do IP spoofing, same is MAC spoofing can be done. Man in the middle attack, like I already explained it to you with respect to Diffie-Hellman key exchange protocol, that attacker is sitting in between, in the center of two legitimate user. Now in wireless network, these two legitimate users are your wireless access point and your endpoints or your wireless client. So your attacker is sitting in between these two component of the wireless access network, and these both components will think that they are talking to each other when in fact the communication is going through the intermediate attacking device. And this type of attack is very common in wireless network. Denial of service attack, you people are already familiar with this DOS attacks. If we are looking this DOS attack with the context of wireless network, then a DOS attack will happen when attacker will send continuously a large amount of traffic to the wireless access point, because endpoints or a wireless client connect to the network through wireless access point. So attacker will target on wireless access point and send a large amount of traffic to wireless access point or any other accessible wireless port with different protocol messages which are used to consume system resources. So in this case, your wireless access point would not be able to provide services to the legitimate user. So DOS attack can occur in this scenario. Then network injection attack. It is also one of the common attack on wireless access point which are exposed to non-filtered network traffic. What is the non-filtered network traffic? Like routing protocol messages or network management messages, like ping and these SNMP messages. So in that case, attacker can send information like with bogus reconfiguration command to use these access points in order to degrade the network performance. And these network injection attacks are very common on web applications as well, like SQL injection attack, cross-site scripting attacks. Wireless transmission are susceptible to both active attacks as well as passive attack. Passive attack like eavesdropping, and active attacks like altering or inserting messages or disruption of the traffic. So how can we counter passive attacks, that is eavesdropping on wireless transmission? There are two types of countermeasure available to deal with this passive attack or eavesdropping. First is signal hiding technique. Like we want to hide our signals from the attacker. So when attacker is not able to get the signal or not able to sniff it, then your wireless transmission is secure from eavesdropping attack. So how can signals be hiding can be performed? For this there are different methods are used, because organization wants that attacker would not be able to locate wireless access point. In order to hide signal, the main aim for organization is that attacker, if not able to locate wireless access point, then he would not be able to attack it. So how can we hide the location, or how can we hide the existence of wireless access point? So for this, different signal hiding techniques are used, like turning off service set identifier broadcasting by wireless access point, or assigning cryptographic name to SSIDs, or reducing signal strength to the lowest level that it only provide the essential coverage, or placing your wireless access point in the inside of the building, away from windows and exterior walls, so that your signals or wireless access point existence should not be exposed to the user outside of the building. The other standard way to deal with eavesdropping attack is encryption. That is, all the transmission is being encrypted with the proper keys. So as long as keys are secured, nobody can get that information, because everything is encrypted with the keys. That is one of the standard way to deal with eavesdropping attacks. When we are looking at the wireless network, the main attacking point for wireless network is wireless access point. So we need to secure the wireless access point. What are the main threat involving wireless access point is that somebody can unauthorized users are getting access to the wireless access point, and through wireless access point they can gain access to the network. So there are different approaches for preventing such unauthorized access to the wireless network. The standard one is called IEEE 802.1x, which is port based access control. This standard provide an authentication mechanism for the devices which want to attach or which want to join a LAN or wireless network. And when we are using 802.1x, it also stop or prevent rogue access points. Rogue access points are those access points which are being introduced by the attackers and other unauthorized devices for becoming insecure backdoors to the network. Okay, there are many recommended techniques for wireless network security. Some of them are listed over here. First is use of encryption, and wireless routers are already having a built-in encryption mechanism for router to router traffic, so use that encryption. Then use of antivirus, anti-spyware software, and a firewall, because these facility will help on all wireless because these facilities are already available over there and need to be enabled. I mean, we need to install antivirus, anti-spyware software, and firewall on the wireless network endpoints. Okay, all your clients. Turn off identifier broadcasting, because wireless routers are typically configured to broadcast a signal so that other devices which are in the range of this wireless access point can find out the existence of the wireless network. So if we configure a network so that unauthorized devices know the identity of router, so this capability can be disabled to prevent such type of attacks where attackers should not be able to gain access to the wireless access point. Change the identifier on your router from the default. Again, this is one of the way to prevent attackers who want to gain access to your wireless network using default router identifiers. Change your router preset password for administration. Yes, always you have to change the default password whenever you are going to install a device on your network, because default passwords are known to everybody, and if you are not going to change it, it can open a door to your network. Allow only some special or specific computer to access your wireless network, and in order to do so, a router can be configured to only communicate with approved MAC address. But of course, as we see previously, that attacker can search the authorized device's MAC address on the network and can perform MAC spoofing attack as well. So this way of securing can be like attacked in through MAC spoofing attack. So we should not just rely on this only countermeasure or only this technique, but we should use all of them or most of them together. When we are going to secure wireless network, we should use all of these techniques or most of them, but should not rely only one out or two out of it. Okay, how can we provide mobile device security? As we know that mobile devices have becoming an important element for organization as a part of the overall network infrastructure. Different type of mobile devices are now being used, like smartphone, tablet, memory stick, and these devices provide not only convenience for each user, as well as it potentially increase productivity in the workplace. And because of a widespread use and special characteristics of these mobile computing devices, security for these devices is also a very important and complex issue. So before the widespread use of smartphone, network security was solely based on clearly defined parameters, where you know your services are running on the trusted physical servers, and you have a specific devices which are part of the network, and you separate your internal network from the untrusted internet. Like employees are not allowed to use internet on the trusted internal network. So but nowadays these techniques cannot be used to secure your network. Why? Because today there have been massive changes in each of these assumptions which we have previously. So an organization network must accommodate the following. First is growing use of new devices. Organizations are experiencing a lot of growth in employee use of mobile devices, because nowadays even organization allow bring your own device thing in the organization, where employees are allowed to bring their own device to work on the network, and these devices can range from a laptop to smartphone to tablet in order to perform their day-to-day activities. Then now the applications are not running only on a physical server in corporate data center, but things are quite opposite. Now application can run anywhere, either on a traditional physical server or on a mobile virtual server or in the cloud. So user can now take benefit of a variety of cloud-based application and IT services for their personal as well as professional use. Like, an employee can use his Facebook profile as a component for a corporate marketing campaign, or in this pandemic situation everything is online. When everything is online, then we are using like Google Meet, Skype and other different tools to do online video conferencing or meetings. Dropbox is used to distribute documents between your workplace and your personal device for mobility and user productivity. Then third thing that need to be considered is deparameterization. Like in before the use of smartphone, as I told you that network have a very well defined perimeter, like what are the devices that are going to participate in the network and where they are going to locate. But now things are not same. By having mobile computing devices introduced into the network, our perimeter is no more a tight or well defined perimeter. It is instead a dynamic perimeter become dynamic, and it not only consists of devices but also application, user and data. And we need to define this perimeter for various environmental conditions such as user role, device type, server virtualization, mobility, network location and time of day. So based on these perimeters, your network perimeter change. Then there comes external business requirements, like enterprise have to provide guest, third-party contractors and business partner network access to their network by using a different type of devices from different location. So when you are going to give access to your internal network, then you also need to take care of the security of your network. When we are talking about mobile computing devices, then they need some extra and special protection mechanism that are not required for normal client devices like desktop or laptop computers which you are using within the organization facility and only on the organization network. So here we list 7 major security concerns for the mobile devices. The first is lack of physical security control. As we know that mobile devices are under the control of the user of the device, and these devices are used and kept in different location outside the organization control. So the physical location of the device is not under the control of organization, but it is under the control of the user who is using that device. Even if device is required to remain on the premises of the organization, still user is moving from one place to another. So this device is moving from secure locations to unsecure location. So the theft and tampering of the mobile devices are some of the realistic threats that need to be considered. So when we are making security policy for the mobile devices, we must make this assumption that mobile devices may be stolen or at least accessed by malicious party. So when in any of these cases, if malicious party is gaining access to your device or device has been stolen, then the malicious party or attacker has two intent. What are those intent? One is the attacker would try to recover sensitive data from the device itself, or it may be using this device to get access to the organization internal resources or the internal network. Okay, use of untrusted mobile devices in your organization network. Okay, it is possible that users are not using those devices which are provided by the organization, but they also may be having their own personal smartphone or tablets or other mobile devices which are connected to the organization network. So organization must assume that these devices are not trustworthy. So the devices may not having any encryption mechanism installed on it, you know, or they are having such type of third-party software installed which bypass the built-in restriction on security or operating system use, like VPNs and others. Okay, if the mobile devices are using on premises, then they are connecting to organization network over the organization own wireless network. So maybe your own wireless network, you employ so many security measures on it to make everything secure, but it is possible that when user is not on the inside organization or not on premises, it is at home, the user is at home, then he will use maybe internet to connect to the company resources or organization resources, like through Wi-Fi or cellular access to the internet, and from the internet to the organization. Thus the traffic that include an off-premises segment is possibly having a threat of eavesdropping or man-in-the-middle type of attack. So it is, when you are going to make the security policy of your network, you should assume that the organization resources can be accessed through the use of untrusted network as well, not only your own organization network. It is possible that employee in your company are using application created by a third party. They install such type of application on the mobile devices, and then these application can pose the risk of installing malicious software on the device, which can can be used later on to access your organization resources. Okay, another security threat is interaction with the other system. One of the common feature that is present in almost all smartphone and other computing devices like tablet is the automatically synchronize your data, like your apps data or your contact photo and other things with other devices. Like if I'm having a iPhone and Mac, so my iPhone and Mac data can be will be synchronized automatically, and also it will be stored on iCloud as well. So if such kind of things occurring in the organization, then organization is only having a control of the device that is the part of the organization. But if that device is synchronizing organization data to cloud and other computing devices, then there is a risk of organization data being stored in unsecure location, and other risk of introduction of malware. And another risk is use of untrusted content, like mobile devices are accessing and using content that other devices may not using or accessing. One of the example is quick response code or QR code, which is a two-dimensional barcode, and mobile devices can scan these QR codes by their camera, and then these QR code will be translated to URL and can redirect or open that URL. So a malicious QR code could direct the mobile device to malicious websites. Okay, use of location services like GPS. GPS is installed on all the devices which are used to get the information about the physical location of the device. Although this feature is very useful in a sense that organization can find out the presence of the device on the premises, but it also creates a security risk. How it create a security risk? Because an attacker can use this location information to find out where the device and user are present right now, which may be later on be used by the attacker, or maybe the location is of helpful or useful for the attacker to launch some attack. Okay, we have already mentioned the threats in the previous slides. So here in this slide it shows the principal elements of a mobile device security strategy. Mobile device security strategy falls into three categories. One is the device security itself. The second is the client server traffic security, like on the mobile you are running a client on the device, and when these client applications are communicating with the server inside the organization, what should be the security strategy. And third one is barrier security, like here how to protect the perimeter of your network, like through firewall. So first I will discuss about the device security. As we know that for the device there are two possible options. One is the device is provided by organization itself. The other is you are asking your employee to bring your own device. Okay, if the organization is providing their own devices, then these devices can be pre-configured with the organization security policy. But if you are asking employee to bring your own device, then we have to have a bring your own device policy also in the organization, which allow the personal mobile devices of employee to have access to the organization resources. So IT manager should be able to investigate or search each device before allowing that device to have access to the network. So after that, IT also have to establish configuration guideline for operating system and applications which are allowed on the employee devices. Like for example, rooted or jailbroken devices are not permitted on the network can be one of the possible guideline or policy on the organization. Or a mobile devices cannot store organization contact on local storage. So whatever the choice is, if even the device is owned by organization or it is being like bring your own device, organization should configure the device with security controls. What are those security controls? First is the device should enable auto lock. Auto lock is like if device is not being used for a given period of time, then it should automatically lock itself, and in order to unlock it you have to provide 4-digit PIN or password. Then second thing is it enable password or PIN protection. Like in order to unlock the device you must have to provide PIN or password, or also that PIN and password can be used to encrypt the data in the device. Avoid using auto complete feature, like when we are having our own device we don't want to enter username password every time for every application, but we ask it to save it. But if we are using it for organization, then we need to not having this feature into the device. Enable remote wipe. Ensure that SSL protection is enabled if it is available in the device. Make sure that all the software and operating systems are properly updated on regular basis. Install antivirus software. Either sensitive data should not be allowed to store on the mobile devices, or if it is being stored, it should be stored in encrypted form. IT staff should also have ability to remotely access the device. Yeah. So IT staff, if want to access any of the employee device, they should have this access. They should be allowed to remove all the data from the device or disable the device in case if device has been lost or theft. Other thing is organization may also not allow to install third-party application or make a list of white listing to only allow these application, and rest of any of the application is not allowed to install on the mobile devices which are being used on the company network. Also, organization can implement and enforce restriction on what devices can synchronize and on the use of cloud-based storage, like so that your mobile device data should not be synchronized with any of the cloud-based storage. How can we deal with the threat of untrusted content? Security responses or to dealing with these type of threats is you can perform training of the personnel on the risk in untrusted content and disabling camera use on corporate or mobile devices. Okay, how to counter the threat of malicious use of location service is that in the security policy we can have this as a rule that such services should be disabled on all mobile devices. So these are some of the measures that need to be take care for the mobile device security itself. Now second thing is traffic security. Traffic security is like client server communication security. When this mobile device is accessing any of the organization internal application or database server, then how to make this traffic secure. So for traffic security we are depending on usual mechanism for encryption and authentication. So it means all traffic should be encrypted and transmitted by SSL or IP variant 6. Virtual private network or VPNs can also be configured so that all the traffic between the mobile device and organization network is traveling through a VPN, which should be properly secured through IPsec. Plus a strong authentication protocol should also be installed on the network, so that before giving access to this device, all the application and database server should properly authenticate the device or user and then give access to that user or device. And also we should have authorization policy, like which user is allowed to do or use which features in a particular application or database server. Then third thing is barrier security, which is over here. Okay, so for the barrier security, organization should have security mechanism to protect the network from unauthorized access. Like unauthorized user should not be allowed to gain access to the internal resources of the organization. So the security strategy for barrier security can include firewall policy for which is special firewall policy for the mobile device traffic. So this firewall policy can limit the scope of data and application access for all mobile devices. Along with firewall, you can also install intrusion detection and intrusion prevention system on the network. IEEE 802 is a committee which is responsible for developing standard for different type of local area networks. In 1990, the IEEE 802 committee formed another committee or a new working group which is called IEEE 802.11. and this IEEE 802.11 was responsible for developing protocol and transmission specification for wireless LANs. And since that time, the demand for wireless LAN at different frequency and data rate has increased or is ever increasing. And this IEEE 802.11 working group has issued an ever expanding list of standards. Like they are working on giving this ever expanding list of standards, which is still, you know, continue. Okay, this table gives you information about the list of the basic terminology that are being used in IEEE 802.11 standard, like access point. What is the access point? Here it is defined that an entity or a station that has station functionality and provide access to the other system to, you know, interact with or connect with the network is called access point. I mean, we already discussed it, but you can go through this terminology, the terms and their corresponding definition. The first 802.11 standard which get brought industry acceptance was 802.11b. Although all of the product that are based on 802.11b are on the same standard, but there is always a concern whether product from different vendor will successfully interoperate or not. So in order to meet this concern, the Wireless Ethernet Compatibility Alliance was formed in 1999. This organization was later on renamed as Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi mean Wireless Fidelity Alliance. This alliance created a test suite to certify interoperability of 802.11b product. And the term used for certified 802.11b product is Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi certification then has been extended to 802.11g product, and this alliance also developed a certification process for 802.11a products called Wi-Fi 5. Okay, Wi-Fi 5 are 802.11a product. These different Wi-Fi alliances are having a different frequency, operating on different frequency, have different bandwidth, and are using different modulation techniques. And Wi-Fi specification standard for 802.ax is called Wi-Fi 6, which is having a full deployment like it was expected in late 2019. Now it's like 2020, so it is the most recent one, Wi-Fi 6, which is designed to operate on all ISM bands between 1 to 6 gigahertz, and also 2.4 and 5 gigahertz bands already allocated, and having a data rate of around 11 gigabit per second. Recently, this Wi-Fi Alliance has developed a certification procedure for 802.11 security standard, and this 802.11 it is called 802.11i, okay, which is specifying wireless LAN security specifications, and we also referred it as Wi-Fi protected access or WPA. Okay, this figure briefly gives the overview of IEEE 802 protocol architecture. And IEEE 802.11 standard are defined within the structure of this layer set of protocols. Here we show two layers. One is the physical layer, another one is data link layer. And we know that data link layer is further divided into two sub layers. One is logical link control layer and other one is medium access control layer. If we're talking about the physical layer with respect to general IEEE 802 functions, this layer is responsible for encoding and decoding of signal, bit transmission, reception and transmission medium. And when we are looking at with respect to specific 802.11 functions, then physical layer is responsible for frequency band definition and wireless signal encoding. The layer above physical layer is the MAC layer or medium access control layer. This layer is responsible for assembling data into frames, like it is receiving data from logical link control layer, and from this data it creates frames, because the data at data link layer is called frame, packet is called frame. Add header into this frame, and also is responsible for error detection and medium access. Medium access, like before transmitting data on the medium, because if multiple devices are sending data at the same time on the same medium, there is a chance of collision, so we need to employ a specific medium access control protocol on it, like CSMA-CD, CSMA-CA for LAN. We have these protocol. So for wireless LAN, it is responsible for reliable data delivery and wireless access control protocols. And logical link control layer is responsible for flow control and error control. Okay, the frame that is created by the medium access control layer is called MPDU. Okay, and send it to physical layer. So what is the format of this MPDU? Here we have this definition: MPDU, MAC protocol data unit. Okay, that is the unit of data exchange between two peer MAC entities using services of the physical layer. So this your MAC layer create a frame which is called MPDU, and this MPDU has this format. It has different fields. One is MAC header, then the data that it received from the upper layer. The data it received from the upper layer, what is the upper layer? Logical link control layer. This data is called MAC service data unit. So whatever it is receiving from upper layer, it add header and trailer into it. Header is having a source and destination MAC address, and then another field MAC control. What is this MAC control field? It contain any protocol control information which is required for the functioning of MAC protocol. For example, priority level could be added over here in the MAC control. And then MAC trailer is a CRC, which is the cyclic redundancy check, which is used for, which is calculated on this MSDU. It is the error detection code which is used in other data link control protocols also. So CRC is calculated based on the bits in entire MPDU, and sender calculate this CRC and add it to the frame, and when receiver receive this frame, it will perform the same calculation on the receiving or incoming MPDUs, and then compare it. Where we have, okay, and when sender receive when receiver receive MPDU, it will recalculate this CRC and compare with the received CRC. If both are same, it means data is received without error. So it's a kind of integrity check, but not a MAC. It is cyclic redundancy check, which is not a secure way to calculate MAC. Okay, it is just for error detection purpose. Okay, this figure is illustrating the model that is developed by 802.11 working group. So the smallest building block of wireless LAN is a basic service set. Okay, here we show two basic service set: basic service set 1, basic service set 2. What is the basic service set? Basic service set consists of wireless stations, like here we have different wireless stations, and access point. Okay, basic service set consists of set of wireless station and a single access point. So this access point function as a bridge and a relay point. Now if station 2 want to communicate with station 4, they will not communicate directly with each other, but station 2 will send a data to access point 1 and access point 1 will forward this data to station 4. Similarly, if station 2 wants to communicate with station 8 in this basic service set, then station 2 will send data to access point and access point will send this data through distribution system to access point 2 and access point 2 will then forward this data to the destination, which is station 8. Okay, and this distribution system that we have shown over here, this distribution system can be a switch or a wired network or wireless network. And if station 2 is directly communicating with station 4 and all these devices are mobile devices, then we will not call at basic service set. Then the terminology used is called independent basic service set, and then there is no access point. They are talking or communicating directly with each other. When they are communicating directly with each other, then they are creating ad hoc network. Okay, this table define these 9 services that are required to provide by wireless LAN to achieve functionality equivalent to or same to what is present in the wired LAN. So these services are association, authentication, deauthentication, disassociation, distribution, integration, MSDU, delivery, privacy, and reassociation. The provider for these services can be either station or distribution system. Station services are implemented in every 802.11 station, including access point station, and distribution services are provided between basic service sets. These services may be implemented in an AP or in another special purpose device which is attached to the distribution system. And if we look at what is 3 of the services, that is LAN access and security, LAN access and security, LAN access and security. So 3 of the services are used to control LAN access and security, and 6 of the services are used to support MSDU delivery, like this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of the services are responsible for MSDU delivery. What is MSDU? I have already explained it over here. The data which is on logical link control layer is called MSDU. This is MSDU. And when medium access control create frame, what it create? It create MPDU. And if MSDU is large enough which cannot be sent on the network, then MSDU can be fragmented to create multiple MPDUs to transmit a single MSDU. Okay, there are 2 services involved with the distribution of messages within a DS. One of the primary service, that is called distribution. Distribution is the service where stations exchange MPDUs when MPDU must traverse the DS to get from a station in one BSS to a station in another BSS. Like here, this is an example of distribution. Like I gave you previously, station 2 want to send data to station 8. So then the service that is invoked is called distribution service. So in the distribution service, what happened is station 2 will send data to AP1. AP1 will forward this data to distribution system, which is responsible for delivering it to AP2, and AP2 will forward this data to station 8. Now how data will be travel inside this distribution system is not part of IEEE 802.11 standard. And second service is called integration service. Now integration service is the transfer of data between a station on one IEEE 802.11 LAN and a station on integrated 802.x LAN. So it means data is transferring from wireless LAN to wired LAN through distribution system. Okay, like here if we go back to this slide, so in this slide we are not having another BSS here, but with this distribution system I have here connected a LAN, and to this LAN data is moving, let's suppose, from this BSS to this LAN through distribution system. Okay, so now data is going from wireless to wired LAN through distribution system. So the service that will be used for this purpose is called integration service. And when we are talking about the integration service, then it take care of address translation as well as media conversion logic that is required for the exchange of data between wired and wireless LAN. We have seen the distribution services, but before the distribution services can deliver data from within a one BSS or one BSS to another DSS, the station first must have to be associated. So when we are looking at this association related services, there are three types of association related services based on the capability of the station mobility, how mobile the station is. So first is no transition. No transition mean that a station is either stationary or move only within the direct communication range of the communicating station of a single BSS. Like here, if we look, no transition, it means like station 2 may remain stationary on the same location or may be moving within the same BSS but not going outside. That is no transition association. The BSS transition on the other hand is that this station 2 can move from one BSS to another BSS. So if it is moving from one BSS to another BSS, then it is disassociating itself from this BSS and associating to the new BSS. Another thing is ESS, extended set, this thing, extended service set. What is extended service set? This all together, like when one or more interconnected BSS, distribution system, and wireless wired LAN all together is called ESS. So this is ESS. Okay, so third one is what? ESS transition. ESS transition mean that a station is moving from, like this station is moving from one ESS to another ESS. So when it is moving from one ESS to another ESS, then it is highly likely that disruption will occur. So because the maintenance of upper layer connection supported by 802.11 cannot be granted, but within single ESS from one BSS to another BSS transition, delivery of data to the station require that addressing capability should be able to recognize the new location of the station. But here in ESS transition there is no guarantee that this thing will be supported, and disruption will most probably occur. Okay, in order to deliver a message inside our distribution system, the distribution service need to know where the destination system is present right now. So the distribution system need to know the identity of the AP to which the message should be delivered, so that message should be reached to the destination station. So to meet this requirement, a station must have to maintain a association with access point within its current BSS. So there are three services related to this requirement. One is called association, which establish a initial association between or a connection between a station and access point. Reassociation is like there is already established association which you are transferring from one AP to another AP because mobile station is moving from one BSS to another BSS. So, and disassociation is what? When terminate the association, that is called disassociation, and this disassociation can be done either through a station or access point. As we have already seen that wireless LAN have its own characteristic which make it more vulnerable to security attack as compared to wired LAN. So if we look at the security protocol that are provided by this IEEE 802.11i standard, the first one was wired equivalent privacy, which was proposed by IEEE 802.11 initially, and it was the privacy protocol for wireless LAN. But this privacy portion of the 802.11 standard has some major security weaknesses. So in order to remove these major security weaknesses in web or wired equivalent privacy protocol, 802.11 task group develop a new protocol which is called as Wi-Fi protected access, or WPA, which is considered to be one of the standard protocol, and it eliminate most of the issues that were there in 802.11 standard. So it is called now 802.11i standard, which is WPA, and it is based on the current state of 802.11i standard. And the most recent one, or the final form of 802.11i standard, is named as RSN, or Robust Security Network. This protocol is quite complex, and here in this chapter we are going to give you just the overview of this RSN. So 802.11i RSN security specification define different security services, like it provide authentication, it provide access control and privacy with message integrity by using different protocols. So here we list the services that are provided by RSN and which protocol are used by each of the service. Like if we are want to provide access control, then in RSN we can use IEEE 802.1 port based access control protocol. If we want the service of authentication and key generation, then we can use EAP protocol. And in order to provide confidentiality, data origin authentication, integrity and replay protection, there are two possible protocols that can be used, which are TKIP and CCMP. And part B gives us the information about the list of the cryptographic algorithm which are used for these services. Like for confidentiality, the algorithms that are used are TKIP, CCM and NIST key wrap and so on. Okay, this figure show the operation of IEEE 802.11i RSN, which is happened in 5 distinct phases of operation. One thing that we need to make sure is that IEEE 802.11i is only used to protect the communication or to secure the communication between a station and access point. It does not provide end-to-end security. Like in the case if this station is communicating with some other station which is in another BSS or is connected to wired LAN, then the communication that is only secure is between station and access point. One thing that need to make sure. Okay, when we look at the phases of the operation, first phase is called a discovery phase, in which AP will broadcast beacon or probe response advertisement, and in this broadcasted message it is advertising IEEE 802.11i security policy, and station uses these probe and beacon response to identify an AP for a wireless LAN with which it want to communicate, and then stations associate with the access point which it uses to select the cipher suite and authentication mechanism, because AP is just broadcasting these security policy, and the station which after selecting, you know, cipher suite and authentication mechanism, then it will go to the second phase, which is authentication phase. When you look at the authentication phase, then there is a new system or entity that is participating here, which is called authentication server. So authentication is performed by authentication server. Access point is just receiving messages from station and relaying this authentication information or sending this authentication information to authentication server. And access point is not participating in this authentication transaction, just forwarding the traffic. So authentication server will based on this authentication messages that are transferred between station and authentication server, will authenticate the station. After successful authentication of the station by authentication server, we enter into phase 3, which is key management phase, which is responsible for key generation and key distribution. So here both station and access point will perform different operation, which will generate cryptographic keys, and these keys will be stored on access point and station, and then frames are exchanged only between, during this key management, only between station and access point. And once keys have been generated and distributed between station and access point, then these keys can be used to encrypt and authenticate the data that is transferred between station and access point, which is phase 4, protected data transfer. And if you look here in this diagram, the area that is shaded as a gray is only this communication is protected and authenticated, or you can say encrypted and authenticated. If this station is sending some data to this end station, it is only encrypted until this access point. When this access point is sending data to end station, this is not encrypted or authenticated. It is just normal traffic. So it is not providing end-to-end security. IEEE 802.11i only provide secure communication between station and access point, but it does not provide end-to-end security services. And if when exchange of information is completed, then both parties can, you know, go for this connection termination phase. So AP and STA exchange frames with each other, and during this phase this secure connection is terminated and restored to the original state. Okay, this figure shows the more detailed information about these different phases which we discussed in the previous slide. So if you look at here, that from these all messages are related to phase 1, which is discovery phase. And during the discovery phase, both station and access point recognize each other and then agree on the security capability and establish an association for future communication using those security capabilities. Now, what is this security capabilities? They agree on security capabilities and an association is performed, okay, during discovery phase. Security capability means they agree on the algorithm that is being used for encryption and authentication and so on. So that is what security capability. Once this phase is completed, then they enter into second phase, which is authentication, and third phase, which is key management or key distribution and generation. So this is phase 2 and phase 3. So this is phase 1 and this is phase 2 and phase 3. Phase 2 and phase 3 is completed using EAP protocol. If we go back here, you can see, look, EAP protocol is responsible for authentication and key generation. So here EAP request response messages are transferred, where authentication is performed by authentication server and then key are generated on both station and access point. Once this authentication and key management completed, then they enter into phase 4, which is that is the transfer of encrypted messages encrypted and authenticated or secure message transfer between station and access point, which is provided by this TKIP or CCMP protocol. So we can see here, yeah. So here we have seen, like, okay, there was just one thing I want to clear. This, yeah, this is 2 and 3, yeah, this is 2 and 3, this is 3, where, okay, this is 2, where you know, they are authenticating each other. Once the authentication is successful, then they generate this key through phase 3, and once keys have been shared, then they can enter to phase 4. Okay, during the key management phase, there are different types of keys which are generated and distributed between station and access point. So basically there are two types of keys which are used. One is pairwise keys. Pairwise keys are used for communication between access point and station. And then we have group key, which is used for broadcast communication or multicast communication inside BSS. And this table is defining the individual keys for data confidentiality and integrity protocol. The name of the keys, their description, size and types, all are discussed over here. As we know that pairwise keys are used to secure a traffic between station and access point. So as we see that there are different types of key, starting from pre-shared key. What is a pre-shared key? Pre-shared key, as name said, is a key that is already installed on access point and station. A secret key that is already shared by access point and station and installed on them or stored on them, and we don't know or there is no any information given in IEEE 802.11 how these keys are being shared between access point and station. This is a pre-shared key which is considered to be already shared between or known to both access point and station and already stored on both of them. Then come master session key. What is a master session key? We also called it as AAAK, or we call it authentication, accounting and authorization key, or master session key. So this master session key is generated using IEEE 802.1x protocol for authentication phase. Like when authentication phase completed, EAP authentication, like here, you know, when we are performing EAP authentication, then after successful authentication, this AAA key is generated. Now from these keys we generate pairwise master key. Now pairwise master key is generated or is used directly as a, if pre-shared key is already there, then pre-shared key is directly used as pairwise master key. Okay, there is no modification. If you see here legend, this single line is showing that there is no modification. So pairwise master key is same as pre-shared key if without any modification, or pairwise master key can be generated from this AAA key by possible truncation. Possible truncation, like this AA key is greater than or equals to 256 bit. If it is greater than 256 bit, then some of the bits will be truncated out of it, and then this AA key is used as pairwise master key with the length 256 bit. Okay. From pairwise master key we generate pairwise transient key. Transient mean temporary key. So these keys will be, you know, will be only for a particular session, and every time when a new session is generated between station and access point, these keys will be generated every time new keys will be generated. The purpose of having these keys as a transient key is to protect against session hijacking, impersonation, and nonce are also used for the generation of these keys, because if we are using nonce, then every time when a new nonce is used during a new session, new keys will be generated, so they will protect us from replay attack as well. So from pairwise master key we generate pairwise transient key. If we go back here, this pairwise master key, from this pairwise master key we apply on it some pseudo random function. If you see here in the legend, a pseudo random function is applied on this pairwise master key and we generate pairwise transient key out of it. Now pairwise transient key is further of three pairwise transient keys are there. One is EAPOL key confirmation key, KC key encryption key, and temporal key. Okay, the size of each of this key is 128 bit. It is given here 128, 128, 128, and then so as I told you, there are three keys that are generated from pairwise transient key, which are KC key, key confirmation key, key encryption key, and temporal key itself. Key confirmation key is responsible for providing integrity and data origin authentication between station and access point, and also control frames during operation setup of RSN, and it is also used to provide access control function or proof of the possession. In other sense, you can say proof of the possession of pre-shared master key. And key encryption key, as its name suggests, this key is used to encrypt other keys, so it protects the confidentiality of keys and other during some RSN association procedure. And then the last key is temporal key, which is used for actual protection of user data. Like this temporal key is used for encrypting and authenticating the user data using this algorithm which you use, which is CCMP or TKIP. If you are using CCMP, then we need temporal key size 128 bit. If we are using TKIP, then we use 256 bit. What is CCMP and TKIP? If you forget, I can show you here. TKIP and CCMP are the protocols which are used to encrypt and authenticate the data. Okay, so we have covered how can we generate pairwise keys. Now we will discuss how can we generate these group keys. So for group keys, here you see this is group master key, which is generated by authentication server. As I already told you that group keys are used for multicast communication, like within BSS, if some stations, a group of station want to communicate with each other, then they use this group key for multicast communication, where one STA sends MPDUs to multiple other stations. So for this we have two group keys, group master key and group temporal key. So group master key is the key generating key, which is used with some other inputs to generate this other key, which is group temporal key. And group temporal key is generated by access point, and after generating this group temporal key, then access point will broadcast or send this key to its associated stations within a BSS. And this group temporal key is sent by AP to stations with already shared pairwise keys, which are established over here. This temporal key, key encryption key, it used this key encryption key, which is already shared between access point and station, to transfer data from to send this group temporal key from access point to station. IEEE just require that the value of this group temporal key should be computationally indistinguishable from random, but it does not give any information how this key is being generated. And this group temporal key need to be changed every time when a device leave the network. Why we want to change it? Because the device which have leave the network should not be able to listen the communication going on in the network. Okay, so when a device leave the network, you have to change this group temporal key. As we have seen over here, these pairwise transient keys are generated using four-way handshake protocol. So here in this slide represents this four-way handshake protocol to generate these pairwise transient key, as well as how to generate group keys. Okay, if we look at this four-way handshake protocol, the first message is sent by AP to station. This message consists of A nonce. A nonce mean AP nonce, a random number generated by AP, and unicast is what? The MAC address of access point. So access point send these two information to the station. Now when station receive this information, it will generate its own nonce. The nonce that station is going to generate is called S nonce. Okay, so station will generate its own nonce and use both A nonce and S nonce, and both MAC address of station, own MAC address, and the MAC address that it received from AP, plus pre-shared master key. It uses all this information to generate pairwise transient key. Okay, so STA will generate pairwise transient key consist of the information A nonce, S nonce, MAC address of access point, MAC address of station, plus pre-shared master key. Okay, then station A will send this the nonce of the station, S nonce, MAC address of the station, and MIC or MIC, which is message integrity code, or we also called it message authentication code. So MAC or MIC is same. MIC is message integrity code. So this message integrity code is calculated using HMAC MD5 algorithm or HMAC SHA-1 128 algorithm, and the key that is used to calculate this MIC is what? The key confirmation key, KCK. If you remember, from pairwise transient key, 3 keys are generated out of it. So this KCK is used to calculate this MIC, okay, and send this message to AP. Now when AP received this message, AP already knows A nonce and unicast, and he received this S nonce and MAC address of station now. So and AP also know the pre-shared master key as well. So AP now can generate pairwise transient key same as the one that station has already generated. So AP, after receiving message 2, will generate pairwise transient key. When I am saying pairwise transient key, it is generating 3 keys: KCK, KEK, and temporal key. Okay, so all 3 keys AP can now generate from message 2, and then it will send this message 3 to station. Now this message 3 is containing the same information as in the message 1, okay, but it also have one thing extra, which is message integrity code. This message integrity code is now calculated using the KCK generated by AP, and then station when receive this message 3, it can confirm this message integrity code, and then can send this message 4, which is just the acknowledgement message, again protected by message integrity code. So after this, both parties have performed 4-way handshake, and now they have shared temporal key, and then they can go for the next phase, which is what? Sharing of now they can use these keys for encrypting and authenticating normal traffic. This portion is showing the group key distribution. So for group key distribution, first message is sent by AP, where AP generate a group transient key, and then distribute this group transient key to each of the station, um, each station in a multicast group. So this message, the message 1, it consists of group transient key and message integrity code on this group transient key is calculated using KCK, and whole message is then encrypted using KEK. Okay. So this group transient key is first encrypted with KEK and then MIC is appended on it. MIC is not encrypted, it is just appended. Okay. Now station A already have generated KEK in this phase, so it knows what is KEK. It can decrypt this message and can find this group transient key, and then station 1 just send an acknowledgement of the receipt of the group transient key in this message that only include MIC value. So now as both parties have shared a key with each other and they have properly authenticate each other, group keys have been shared, pairwise keys has been shared, then the next phase is protected data transfer phase, or phase 4. They can enter into phase 4. So IEEE 802.11 defined two schemes for protecting data transmitted in 802.11 MPDUs, and the two protocols that are used for encrypting and authenticating these MPDUs are TKIP and CCMP. If we are using TKIP, then it is designed to require only changes in the software of the device that are implemented with older wireless LAN security approaches like WEP. And TKIP provide two services. One is message integrity, another one is data confidentiality. And if instead of TKIP we are using CCMP, then CCMP is particularly used for newer IEEE 802.11 devices which are already having hardware to support this scheme. So same with TKIP, CCMP also provide both the services, message integrity as well as data confidentiality. We have seen previously that 802.11i is using pseudo-random function in order to generate nonces and in order to generate pairwise transient key from pairwise master key, and also to generate group transient key. So it is suggested that you should use different pseudo-random function to generate each of the different keys, but for implementation efficiency most of the time we are relying only on a single pseudo-random number generator function, and the pseudo-random function that is built on the use of HMAC SHA1 is used to generate these keys. And this figure is showing how HMAC SHA1 algorithm is used to generate, you know, these keys and nonces and group transient key. I'm not going to go into the detail of it. So here we finish our chapter. Thank you so much.